Should we pay college athletes? And what is the state of college athletes right now? I thought I'd go to a guy this morning I've known for a long time, and he's a good friend, actually in some ways a former student, and he's now the head football coach at the University of Maryland. We're talking about Randy Edsall, locally here from Glen Rock originally, and now at University of Maryland. Randy, great to have you aboard this morning.
Well, good morning, and hope you're doing well.
I'm doing okay other than these darn colds. I know you had one for about 2 months, but you couldn't do very much about it with football season going, right?
You're right about that.
Andy, you hear this talk all the time, and I'm sure you guys, you've heard it in different places that, man, shouldn't we be paying these guys? And I look back and I say, well, they're getting all kinds of scholarships. They're getting taken care of. And I saw some estimate about $125,000 a year, give or take a few thousand. What are your thoughts about that when you hear that as a head football coach in a collegiate program?
Well, I think there's things that you got to take a look at, Gary, in terms of what's really transpired with college athletics nowadays. When I played, it wasn't such a big business. Now it's a big business, and now there's so much money that's generated through this sport, through television, through sponsorships, through all those things. And when you take a look at it, it's almost become semi-pro, right, in my opinion. I think that we're getting away from what is the real value of going to college and playing sports, and it's starting to become all about the money. And since it's really all about the money, I really believe that what should happen, I don't think players should get paid per se or call it, paid. But when you take a look at one of the things that they're talking about now, really the 5 major conferences within the NCAA structure, and I think this will be coming out a little bit here in the next few days at the NCAA convention in San Diego. What they're talking about giving a student-athlete full cost of attendance of what it costs to go to an institution. And when you talk about the full cost of attendance, that includes tuition, fees, room and board, books, supplies, transportation, and other expenses related to the attendance at the institution. And if you did that and just taking a look at here at the University of Maryland, for in-state, it's for room, board, books, tuition, and fees, it's like $19,600.
Right.
Well, the cost of attendance, if you live on campus, is $23,733. Off campus is $26,711. So now those student athletes would have money to get back and forth to home. And what you would be doing is you would be saying, okay, here's the money you have. Now you've got to learn how to budget your money, how you got to learn to do those sort of things, which to me is what college is all about.
Absolutely. Yeah, and making young men into adults, and that's certainly a big part of it. Go ahead.
And then if you look at out of state, it's $37,980, $82 to go to the University of Maryland, room, board, books, tuition, fee. That's what the scholarship is worth right now. If you live on campus out of state, it's $42,919. Off campus, $45,897. Well, now what you're doing is you're allowing those young people to be able to get back and forth to home. It's really not like you're paying them money for playing. What you're doing is you're giving them the actual cost of what the attendance goes here. Now, the less fortunate people still have the ability to able to get a Pell Grant, which is $5,500 a year.
Okay.
So now, if you ended up doing that, now I think that's fair, because what it is, you're giving the kids exactly what it cost, to attend that institution. When you put transportation, you put all the other things in there, calculated by the institution. How it's used,
sure,
using federal regulations. So that's what I would be in favor of, instead of saying, okay, you're getting $200 a month. Now you can say, this is what your cost of attendance is. It's federal regulated by the institution, so you're not going to give one school that's going to give you so much money to come here, and it's got to get out of hand and all those sort of things. And then, you know what? I think you could administer that with all student athletes, whether it's the Olympic sports or whoever it may be.
Yeah, see, I still have a problem with the idea of paying an athlete, and for the very reason you said in the beginning. The idea is, and I know you preach this all the time to your young men, that student athletes, student is the first part, athletes is the second. And so what are we going to college for? Well, some people see it as a minor league to the pros, and I know the pros in the NBA and also in the NFL have some rules about that we can talk about in a second, but The point being, if you're going to go to college, isn't it the idea to go there to actually learn something? And I know you're watching the academic stuff all the time. Have we gotten away from that, or are we fighting a losing battle right now and trying to keep the idea of a student athlete when you have a guy who's more concerned maybe about getting his kids to win games than he is about getting them in the classroom?
I think we have. I think we've gotten away from that. And that's why I said it's almost that we're in a semi-professional state. And again, the reason that we're bringing these young men, here to college, maybe I'm totally wrong, or I'm too old school. I don't know what it might be, but
you've been called that every now and then, right?
Huh?
You've been called that every now and then, right?
Well, my whole thing is you're bringing kids here to this institution, all institutions,
right,
to give them an opportunity to play a sport, a team sport, in my case, football. But what you're doing is you're taking these young men, and what we're doing here is we're developing them as students, as people, and as players. So now when they leave here, they're going to have we want them to have opportunities based on their education, based on their athletic ability, based on who they are as people, to go out and be successful and go and do the things that they want to do for their lives work. Because you're taking 4 or 5 years of your life to invest it to get in the background and getting prepared for what you're going to do for the next 40 years of your life. Because you take a look, the average, it's about 3 years, might even be less than 3 years now. It's not even a career anymore in the NFL. It's really a cup of coffee, and for guys who make it. And so I think and I say we because the NCAA has gotten away from what the really mission is, to me, of what college athletics is all about. If you really take a look at it, the Ivy League is what it's, is what they're doing, what they're supposed to. I mean, they're going there, it's need-based aid. The kids are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And what's happened is, because of the money and because of all the things that have transpired with college athletics, I think it's shifted away from that, and it's sad.
I was looking at something the other day, though. One of the things that they talk about, people paying for things, you have athletes who go off to college who maybe aren't on anybody's radar screen for the NFL, if that's someplace that they want to go later on. I was reading about Teddy Bridgewater, for example, of the Louisville quarterback. He was projected, ranked 143 on ESPNU top 150 his senior year in high school, and clearly he's going to be a very high draft pick this year. So one of the things that we miss sometimes, at least from the teaching standpoint, is you're going to school to be taught also on the athletic field by people who are going to be coaches/teachers, right? And they're going to, and if you are a person that can make it into the NFL, God bless you, but you're not getting there on your own, somebody's going to teach you along the way. So that certainly has got to be worth something too in terms of the quality of an education, right?
Well, there's no question. And again, and I do think it's twofold. These young people who come here, they have 2 full-time jobs. They have a full-time job of being a student, and they have a full-time job of being an athlete. Now, They are getting paid a scholarship to come here, but I think that scholarship should be worth the cost of attendance, what it costs to actually go here, to be able to get back and forth, things along those lines, because you do have young people who do go to institutions who are very intellectually gifted, who have that same thing. They get total cost of attendance for what it goes there. So if they're allowed to do that from the academic side, because those people are talented, or musicians, or whatever you want, artists, whatever you want, whoever you are, same thing should be, from a student athlete standpoint, as well.
You were talking about turning guys into young men. Talk a little bit about what you do. And a lot of people don't get a chance to get inside a big-time college program like we're talking about with the University of Maryland. And, of course, you're going into Big Ten next year, and a lot of, cameras will be pointed on you then as they were this year. But what do you do to develop young men inside of the program from a human being standpoint?
I think what you do is you teach them about accountability, and you teach them about what is right and what is wrong, and what is going to allow you to be successful once you leave here. And I think that's the biggest thing, because there's too many young people nowadays who are enabled, growing up and going through the high school ranks, and then as they come to us, we're trying to change habits that they've gained over 17 years. And my whole thing is, as long as I'm doing what I'm doing, because again, I'm an educator. I'm not a coach, I'm an educator. and I happen to coach. But to me, coaching is educating. Coaching is teaching. It's just that we have a different classroom than what somebody who's teaching history or math or whatever. But the lessons that we teach our young people are going to prepare them for life, because there's not too many times in the sport that we play where you talk about, teamwork, you talk about perseverance, you talk about getting knocked down and failure and getting back up. Those are all lessons that you're going to have to deal with through life. And once you leave the college world, now it's the real world. Now you've got to provide and you've got to earn a living. And if you have those qualities and if somebody has taught you that and held you accountable for those things, you got a better chance for success moving forward. And I think that's the one thing that we as coaches, have to understand. And I know what our mission is. We're supposed to win as many games as as we can. But I'm not going to, do something different that's going to take away from, teaching these young people what the values of life are and how they can be successful when they leave here and they go, into the real world.
How many people actually make it into the NFL out of the number of collegiate athletes that play? I imagine it's a very small amount.
Well, it's really less than 2% of guys that play, end up playing college football. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I was fortunate. I coached in the NFL, and it's a great way to make a living, but it's not like the NFL. Everybody says it's not for long. And now what's happened, Gary, is this. In the NFL, they've changed the salary structure. So now the rookies going in there don't get all that money like they used to. You're going to have a nice contract, no doubt, that first contract you sign. But for you to make the kind of money that you need to make to maybe do what you want to do when your career's over, you got to get that second contract.
Right.
And, it's not so much in the first contract like it used to be for kids coming out of college. They changed that. And then, again, that's just something. And, again, I'll give you an example. We had a young man here at Maryland who last semester in the spring had to withdraw. I told him that, hey, I think it would be best for you to stay home, get your things together, do what you need to do, and then come back here. Well, he did. He was a starter for us, and he sat out this year. And the difference in that young man I've seen him since he's been back and communicating with him last fall is unbelievable. And I just think that we as a society have gotten away from parenting, teaching, and educating the young people in terms of what it's all about. And it's gotten too much where we've enabled them, and we've got to get back to that. And I just think that from the standpoint, college athletics needs to get back to that and, doing these things. And like I said, I'm all for a cost of attendance. I'm not for saying, hey, because you play football,
right,
you get this. You're coming to school to get your education first and foremost, because most of these guys that I coach aren't going to make it to the NFL. Their career is going to be over,
right,
when their college career is over.
Hey, we're going to take a quick.
What can we do to help them to make it the best that they can be?
I'm going to take a quick break. Can I come back and get you for about 3 more minutes?
Yep.
Okay, we'll be right back. Randy Edsall, head coach of the University of Maryland football program, with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA. We'll be back with him right after this. It's got to be tough in a day and age where kids can go to other programs and you still hear about the cheating from time to time and that kind of thing. How tough is it to you said maybe I'm old-fashioned. How tough is it to do it the old-fashioned way, which is kind of honesty and getting these kids to toe the line and be accountable?
Well, I don't think it's tough. I just think what happens is when you come in and you put a system in and the kids see that they can have success in that system, it turns over and you see it. Because again, my belief as a coach is that I'm here to make these young men better people, better students, and better athletes. And I think you do that, there's certain principles that are there for you to be able to do those things. And that's something that I'm never going to get away from, as long as I'm involved with trying to make young people better. And again, I think the thing is, Gary, it's like anything else. For us, we just didn't see the success on the field, as quickly as we would have liked to because of some injuries and some other things. But when you take a look, I mean, in the 6 semesters that I've been here at the University of Maryland, we've had the highest semester GPAs and the highest cum GPAs than they had in the last 12 years here. So, and this past semester, it's been the best ever, and we gradually are getting better. And so I think, again, what is the mission of what we're supposed to do? Yes, I want to win, and I want to win every game. But I'm not going to do that and compromise what the university stands for, or to do something to have these kids do things that, that aren't the right things to do. And I think that's the thing. And I think anything that you do in life, you have to have a plan. You have to have your values and your morals, and you got to stick to them. Because, you know what's right, and then sometimes it's always tough to stand up to criticism. But deep down, when you go home at night, you know you're doing the right things for these kids, and then when you see these kids, go across the stage and they graduate, and you've helped them grow and develop and mature, and then it's the relationships you have with them afterwards. That's really what it's all about. And the people who really understand are the ones who are in that arena
right.
that we're in. And that's that's my thing is I have an obligation to these kids and to their parents to make sure that when I go into the homes and tell them this is what we're going to do, we don't hide it. We just say this is the things that we're going to do to make them better. To me, that's what a student athlete is all about. We're not here just to develop the athlete part of it. We're here to develop the student athlete, to develop them holistically, to give them opportunities that maybe they never thought they could have, but also because I really believe when you're a parent, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you're a coach, it's our job to give young people opportunities that they never thought they could have before, but also to give them better opportunities than what we've had for ourselves. I'm a has-been. I can't play no more. I can't do any of that. But I know that I can help these kids go on and be successful in whatever they choose. If they're fortunate enough to go to the NFL, they've done that. I've got 20 guys from Connecticut that I coached or recruited who are in the NFL. And they've graduated, and guys that have graduated have moved on, and they're successful. And that's the mission to me of a coach, whether it's in high school or college. A high school coach is supposed to get them ready to be prepared to go to college. A college coach is to get these young people ready to go into the real world. And and I think if you always look at it that way, then you're going to be at peace with yourself, and you're going to have a very successful program.
Finally, 3 weeks from today is Letter of Intent Day. There are kids all over the country who are being wooed by colleges like yours and universities to come to their programs. You mentioned a moment about walking the living room. We have about 2 minutes left. What do you say to the parents and the kid? You're walking in, I would imagine, many times you're not the first one to see them from university, but you're probably the closer in a lot of cases. What do you walk in and tell them?
Well, I tell them that you've got a chance to come to a great institution at the University of Maryland, a fine academic institution that's right in the heart of what takes place with America. You're 8 miles from D.C. Baltimore's 30 miles. You've got a tremendous opportunity to expand yourself as a person here, and also start to network yourself with internships and being around people that are world leaders. And also understand that you can come to a program that's going to give you the opportunity to play. And if you're good enough, you're going to play as early as you determine, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. You're going to get developed in a holistic way that's going to allow you to be successful and have eggs in each basket when you come out of here. And now what you're going to do is you're going to be a person that's going to be well-respected, and you're going to be somebody that people will look at because of the quality of the program that the University of Maryland has.
Wow. Where do I sign? But no, Randy, I really appreciate taking the time this morning. I've known you for a long time, since you helped me in 7th and 8th grade basketball, and a lot of people remember your days playing here, and you weren't a has-been then. You played really well, and of course went to Syracuse on a scholarship. But it's nice to know people like you are out there teaching the kids of today, and keep on being old-fashioned. I think it works just fine. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, Gary. And again, the thing is, because of the people that my mother and my father and how I was raised, and coaches like yourself and Carl Markle, Don Blau, John Gensler, and people who gave me the opportunity. That's why I do what I do, because I wouldn't be here where I'm at today if it wasn't for people like yourself and other people who took an interest in me, and all I'm trying to do now is give back. This is not about Randy Edsall. It's about what I can do for young people and have them experience things maybe that they couldn't do. And, I'm just having a ball doing it, and just looking forward to getting out and home starting on Thursday again.
continue good luck. You told me your schedule last night. It would scare people if you told them on the air. But good luck with that, and we'll look forward to seeing who you get there on Letter of Intent Day. I'm sure they're going to be good people. That's the one thing we know for sure. Randy, always a pleasure, my friend. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Gary. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Randy Edsall with us here, the head coach of the University of Maryland football team, here on the Gary Sutton Show on WSBA. Interesting insights. We're going to be back right after this and talk a little bit more about, if you like, football, Benghazi. It's all out there for us right now. The Gary Sutton Show, 1-800-357-0910. Back after this. WSBA News Time, 10:30.